Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Season 31 of ETF2L, powered by S31.tf and the wonderful Copenhagen Games. We have one of our the first big, I feel like, a week one game. I don't know about you guys, but it always feels like it's not quite the start of the season till you get to that Thursday. But we have the Fellowship versus Se7en. I am eepily, I'm joined by degu on production and DuMmTm on the casting chair with me. How's it going?
Pretty good. Should be an interesting game here. Pretty big teams like you mentioned. Fellowship being like a mix of the bins from the last season here thrown together. Like half the rosters of both of those teams together here, and on the other side Se7en pretty much a full roster Domo here today instead of Cadis, so that could hurt a little bit, especially near the call department, but Domo's certainly a capable Demoman himself.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, Kato, he calls a lot for Se7en, but definitely from a firepower point of view, I think most people, a good amount of people, I'd say, would argue that Domo is kind of a more up there in terms of the DM. So what he may lack in the calls, he brings forward with his absolute ridiculous pounding frags. But I think most people recognize a lot of the roster for Se7en. Obviously, we have Thalash, we have Tiger on Scouts, we have Captain and Stark on Soldiers, we have Domo replacing Cadis on Demo, and we have Raymond, the Return of the King, on Medic. How about the Fellowship? It's a team we've seen a little bit less of. What kind of roster are we looking at here?
Yeah, we have Yilin and Uber's back on the Soldiers. I believe Uber's is the pocket. I'm not 100% sure. And Uber's Roma, indeed it is. And yeah, that's interesting. Both really good Soldiers themselves. Ratslayer made playoffs with the bin, made third place, I believe, last season on the Demo Man. Crafty and Mr. Epic Mon, whichever way you prefer, on the Scouts, are a well-proven strong scout duo here. So this is still scary even for Se7en to have to fight those, and Isla, whatever, one of the two on Medic, will be stepping in for our production man here, Degu, who can't play, so yeah, should be interesting.
Yeah, I think, important to note, some of these Fellowship players are coming in fresh off the back of a beautiful winning for glorious England in the Nations Cup, so I think they're going to want to bring this on forward. Anyway, we will be going in straight here on this first map, CP Process, on, like we said, Season 31, powered by S31.tf and Copenhagen Games. Going into this first mid here, nothing too crazy out here. It's going to be exactly same kind of classes you'd want. Demos appearing same kind of time, so it's not going to be one of those early mids where we get everything done. Instead, we're going to play a little bit slower. It's going to be all about this initial bit of aggression. Se7en taking a lot of position towards the right-hand side. Not a spot you really want to get caught in, but the soldiers are trying to move forward, trying to take a lot of position, but not really getting that much damage out of anything. They're taking more than they're actually managing to really deal out. But these Fellowship players, they can't really get forward. It doesn't seem like they're able to contest this high grounded, with Mr. Epic getting picked up there before he can even get to that top. That seemed like a really, really difficult mid for Fellowship to get anywhere there.
Yeah, exactly. That was such a passive mid by Se7en. The soldiers didn't really commit that aggressively. Both Stark and Captain double jump, but not really far in. Only for like a mild attempt at spam damage. Meanwhile, Ubers had to commit in at some point to make something happen. And didn't end up working well. And now it's Se7en's turn to commit. Captain goes in, lots of damage, but nothing really comes of it. Barely able to survive his jump there. But Stark might just be looking to get another commit and beefs the jump now. Ubers picks him up. And with that, the stalemate will probably just continue for a little bit longer. The question is what the Fellowship will do here in return.
Yep, so it may have been not a fantastic mid for Fellowship, but they weren't giving anything too much away. They'll concede the mid for the sake of having that equal Uber. But now, like I said, this is their opportunity to get in. Uber's pig bomb, a lot of damage on Raymond, but the surf was a little bit too much. So now, Thalash Sniper. Tiger picking up this soldier from the Fellowship side. This is going to make things a lot more difficult to deal with this sniper, with Ratslayer going down and the Uber being forced off so ridiculously late. I mean, Mr. Epic's desperately trying to get it. He's getting so ridiculously airshot. Oh my lord, okay.
Still able to pick up Stark, despite I think being doubled there during the Uber somehow. Still gets a kill, makes it a little bit better. Slows down Se7en's progress here a bit, despite them not having used here. At least they can't convert straight into last. They need to wait a bit for spawners here, but there's only so much longer Se7en will wait here still, and they need to put up a good hold now.
Yeah, no, I think this is going to be just one of those situations where Se7en will just wait for Stark, take a little bit of a position maybe towards lobby, allow Thalash to peek a little bit more, but really this is just going to be waiting for their last player. We're going to see what should be quite a standard little push. Ubers is actually hiding in lobby. He might be able to get at least a pick on Thalash here, which will make things just a little bit easier. In fact, he does, but the Se7en Uber goes in, immediately dealing with this gun and the Fellowship's medic. So they should just be able to play nice and slow here towards this left-hand side. We've seen them do it so many times across so many different seasons. It's really going to be on the Fellowship to just try and kind of draw this fight out, try and not get picked off early. This one pick's good, but so much time for Se7en. It's going to be an absolute just cluster of a fight on point. This is actually looking pretty good for the Fellowship. They're cleaning up a lot of frags. Nice little Se7en captain. Raymond's so lucky to get out of a rollout there and living, so really, really clutch last.
Yeah, Se7en just took way too long to do his rest. Like, they wanted the demo down first to have the point wide open and available, but both soldiers had to go into deal with him. Just, they lost these numbers too quickly. Fellowship wants to come and get second off the back of this. Either just now spawning means they don't have advantage here, but they try anyway. But for how long can they do this? As Se7en has advantage and they just come forward. Uber's alone at point. Everybody could deal so much damage, but can't pick anyone up, and Se7en have the advantage here once again. Uber straight into last, most likely will be what we see as Crafty picks up the sniper rifle, trying to find a hero shot.
There's not a lot of time for Se7en to go forward and do things. I was going to say that after you use the Uber, but no. Turns out when the other team only has 4 players, they tend to forget a little bit about the point, so a little bit of a rough way to end the round there.
A little bit strange on the initial push by Se7en, because usually in these sort of situations, especially when they have the time like they had on second when they initially came in there, they usually switch back flash by just having to go back to spawn with the spawner to switch back to scout, but they didn't, so it hurt the push quite a bit and made it go bad in the first place.
Going into second mid, hopefully we're going to see something a little bit less passive from the Fellowship side in terms of actually being able to make some space, but missed epic going down, and now this is the Fellowship's turn to get absolutely crushed into this little corner. This time I think Arla's going to be incredibly lucky to get away with his life. I can't imagine he's going to live here. I mean, what do you even do in that situation?
Yeah, Se7en just read them like a book. They saw exactly where they were coming from, and just beautiful commit by everybody to just pick up the pieces one by one. Once again, will be a straight convert into last year. They just need to have a better push here. Now, without the sniper, it's going to be a lot easier, and at least the Fellowship have a little bit more time here now to set up some defense, but it still would have to be an incredible hold here, and you said Se7en know exactly what they're doing here.
Yeah, I think this time there's going to be almost no chance of Ubers being able to get a pick here, which obviously made that last push so much more difficult last time, but Ubers coming in through 4. No gun to actually deal with this time. Mr. Epic did just run away with it, but they're playing a lot of cap time. But this Uber is completely gone now, so it's going to be 100% on this 5v4 now, little repush, 4v4. It's going to be a 450 health heavy, like, these 7 scouts are going to take a lot of position, they've got to deal a lot of damage, which Domo is managing to get a decent amount down on. Them focusing off the medic, maybe a little bit unnecessary, but repush is going the way of Se7en's. Be a second round in only 5.5 minutes.
Yeah, that was actually a little bit sketchy there towards the end, but beautiful focus by Se7en to just pick up the pieces there once again and make this go all the way here into last. Really well done, and the Fellowship just can't keep these long fights going, it seems.
No, it does seem like these kind of repushes, these focus fire, these DM fights, a little bit more difficult. What kind of things are you going to be expecting on this mid from the Fellowship? What do they need to be doing a little bit differently?
They need to find a way to properly commit and get past these scouts, which is so far the main problem. They just haven't been able to be the ones initiating stuff. And once again, Mr. Epic tries to take high ground and Domo is just denying him really hard.
Yeah, you can see this. The positioning of these Fellowship players, they're basically already towards Chug by the time we're about 10 seconds into this mid fight. Yeah, they will manage to pick up a frag here, but you're seeing Se7en just walking all the way towards point. This late frag. Oh my god, what an air shot! And Raymond lives.
But it's not enough.
That's so disappointing when you hit those and Raymond still gets out on 10 HP. I thought that was going to be Fellowship's saving grace.
It's still just the consequence of everybody being so passive and playing so scared on the team here. They got Yillen behind, which is a start, but it's just not enough. Ayla got out, but Stark is already on the case and they just couldn't stop him flying into last.
So, once again, this is going to be Se7en's opportunity to chill outside of Fellowship's last and get what should be almost the exact same Uber we've seen before, moving through 3, moving through 4, taking a lot of position and going for these kind of refights. I would have thought at this point, Se7en is just going to be so confident of these kind of, these refighting and repushing after an Uber. Just, it does seem as long as they can take a little bit of position, even if they don't manage to get frags, they will win this kind of a later fight. So, that is actually going to be really good. Yeah, so again, Stark's going to be down now, so it's going to be a 5v6 kind of push. Se7en has managed to walk a lot of the way through right before anything's really happened. They're getting so much cap time, though.
Yeah, the Fellowship is just giving them so much free presence on the point with absolutely no denial whatsoever. Once the 6 are off it, it's just free cap immediately. The sentry doesn't last a long time either. It's really strange how these holds are just falling apart this quickly, but we were joking a bit before the game a little bit that like all you need in theory is good mids and good last pushes, and so far Se7en is showing exactly that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously TIF2 is such a difficult game if you can't win those mid fights. You're always playing on the back foot, but this is actually looking a way, way, way better mid for the Fellowship. They've already managed to take that position on point. Stark did get behind super early, so he will pick up Isla, but this actually is looking good for Fellowship to maybe keep trying to walk forward, but no! These late frags from Tiger and Captain, it's going to result in another Fellowship wipe, but it just seems, from a focus fire point of view, from a team coordination, it just doesn't seem like Fellowship's quite on the same level.
Yeah, they beefed a bit on the DM department here, but I feel like they had the right idea. They didn't play scared, they played actually really aggressive, just trying to take this in, but just stuff didn't take enough damage to actually make it worth it in the end, so Se7en still takes the better end here, and on top of that, they had to abandon a medic for all of this effort forward, so Isla went down. Raymond will once again have advantage into last, and I refuse to believe this will go any other way than we've seen before.
Yeah, we do have Ubers hiding in the exact same spot as before that little spot, but no, actually Crafty's going to be body-shotting Raymond here, so okay, so finally, we're seeing a little bit of saving grace coming from the Fellowship side here, and actually, with this frag onto Captain as well, they can take a lot of position on second. They should be able to retake second and almost walk all the way towards mid as long as they don't give up any easy frags here. This is going to be super, super important, and it looks like Se7en is going to be walking away with their tail between their legs, knowing that, okay, there's not really anything we could do to contest here. I'd love to see some really, really good kind of coordinated aggression from the Fellowship side. There's no reason why they can't be looking to take this midpoint for free now as well, and have this Uber advantage, but a little bit of an early jump on their soldiers.
Pipe by Domo as well to take up Mon. Suddenly, this all goes so much worse. Uber's in as well, doesn't take a pack. Yillen still alive after this initial jump there, comes to head out the situation, stuck straight for the force, gets that 3 down already on Se7en, so they had to read some numbers for it. But so far it looks good for Raymond to get out Surf, Step Sticky as well, able to survive Captain stuck in a fight. Might just be able to get out Yillen commits while players are still down. Domo straight up pipes down the medic while they desperately try to get to Raymond. And once again they just abandon their own medic trying to get the other one.
Yeah, this is becoming a much, much scrappier game at this point. I mean, it obviously helps for Se7en that Domo seems to be hitting every single one of those crucial little pipes, but that seems a little bit weird for Isla to be caught out in that kind of situation. Now, Mr. Epic, as he's playing so far forward ahead of his team along with Illan now, they're going to get cleaned up, and it does look like Se7en's going to be able to walk all the way to this second point. It's only really Ubers and Rats there who can do anything at all, but they're going to get absolutely crushed in their position on choke. I mean, realistically, Se7en could just ignore Ubers or just do whatever they want. This second's theirs, and this is going to be yet another full Uber advantage last push. I think we've seen probably about 2/3 of these have just gone through so easily, and with Crafty kind of feeding in lobby here, I don't know, I feel like they're just trying to play it so scrappy, but Se7en's not going to allow that.
Yeah, not at all. Like, the only way this already got out of hand in first place for Se7en was with a little bit of complacency, not checking for the sniper at the beginning, but otherwise they've been playing like relatively flawless for what the Fellowship requires out of them.
Okay, so this is our 5th, potentially last mid if the Fellowship can't find something a little bit different, but I don't know, the way you've been seeing these last couple mids from Fellowship, it isn't completely lost. They've managed to take some good position. There's that one mid, I feel like if it wasn't for Stark getting behind... Yeah, oh, that's sticky as well. Okay, with Domo going down, this is good. They can take a lot of position, and they can deal so much damage from this high ground without having to work against these stickies. With Tiger going all the way behind is effectively a 5v4 as well. As long as they're aware of this... Oh, we have a pause.
Well, that was an interesting mid fight. Finally, some good coordination coming out here, and Se7en traditionally just abandons every time the demo man dies, most of the time at least. Especially with the main caller, not maybe the case right now, but it's what they're used to, I would imagine. So they just abandon space quickly. They pick up Ubers, which could make this go into stalemate instead of like having things go worse. But their position on the Fellowship looks like they at least want to try to get another kill here, and Flash is the only one really in position. Maybe Raymond a little bit, but you should be able to get out of that.
I think, yeah, as long as Fellowship's aware of Tiger getting behind towards their sewer, I mean, the only real risk at this point is if Fellowship move forward, it's going to be Tiger getting behind, taking this 1v1 and denying that kind of mid-cap. But I feel like, honestly, Tiger and Crafty, like, that isn't a straight-up free 1v1 for either of them. So it's kind of a calculated risk you could probably take. I think this is a decent position. I mean, I feel like a deep bomb from Ratslayer might be able to get a lot of damage. And really, at this point, these long fights aren't working, so why not kind of do something fast? It's a much more all-or-nothing play, but I feel like they don't have much of a choice, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, that's what the mids have been looking like for the moment as well, where the slower ones at the beginning just really didn't accomplish much for them, and the moment they picked up the pace a little bit in the last 2-3 ones, it has been going slowly but surely a little bit better every time they went to mid. So the change of pace is desperately needed. Se7en just has way too much control of the game.
I would definitely tend to agree, and I think really these kind of situations, yeah, I feel like those kind of calculated risks is how you want to go, especially with Stark so kind of pushed up towards PC. They're not really going to do anything. Tiger's not really going to do anything. It's only really Thalash and Captain that they have to worry about here. But so let's go back up a second to some of these mid fights. You said about there was a lot more kind of passive play on the earlier mid fights. These later mid fights definitely a lot more coordinated. Granted, they took down that demo easier, but we've seen a lot more position get taken. There was that one mid where Stark jumped behind super quick towards PC. I don't even think the Fellowship saw him by the time he went into PC. I feel like even that mid, they probably would have won if Stark hadn't been able to jump all the way behind and immediately crush Isla and get about 150 damage onto 2 other guys as well. I feel like the theory of some of these mids are working. It's just tiny little things which are causing them to just not quite be able to get in as comfortable a position as when we see Se7en kind of complete that plan.
And that's the problem here, though. Se7en is just this well-oiled machine from like ages ago, basically, that just know exactly how they want to play these sort of mid-fights, and unless you have an equally good plan, you're not going to get really far. It's pretty much what we've seen here so far. So far, the best solution is just trying to like break it with brute force, which has been getting them in this position at the very least. But
right,
just how much further it can get them.
Okay, that's exactly what we wanted to see here. Okay, this is Fellowship showing exactly why they've got so many players which they've proven themselves at the top for years and seasons and seasons. That's going to be Raymond taken down along with Captain and Thalash. So now Tiger going down on the back lines. This is going to be a huge advantage for Ireland. This is going to be about 100%, exactly what they need. So suddenly, there should be a chance to at least get themselves some kind of round. I mean, it's 18 minutes to go. This isn't by any means over. This is a lot of time for Fellowship to be able to take a lot of position. It just comes down to how effective of a last push can they get down.
Yeah, and at this point in the game, you still can be really happy if you at least manage to tie it back up and get some points out of this. So it's a tall order, but it's by no means impossible if they have any decent last pushes here. But Tiger gets the shot onto Isla. We've seen it before on the other side, and they just didn't expect them themselves.
No, I mean, it's completely disastrous for the side of Fellowship now at this point. This is going to be Raymond with his uber advantage. They're going to be able to walk a long way from lobby, knowing that they've got all these heals and all this buff advantage if Se7en so wish, but at the same time they can just play slow if they want to. There's absolutely no rush. It's the only real risk they have is for a backup on the side of the Fellowship. But
Se7en approaching slowly. Mr. Epic gets behind. Yilin is still trying to force the situation out as well, trying to delay for the backup. Gets a lot of time, but not all they need here. And Se7en played this really, really safe. Just trying to not have anything go behind. Basically, they baited them as well, trying to go for the backup here, and immediately went back the moment they saw anything, tried to get on the backlines, and just get the kills that way without having to use the Uber here at all.
Yeah, 3 frags, and actually, this is going to be a bit of an Uber trade. Maybe Se7en were a little bit unaware, didn't quite know their advantage wasn't exactly what they thought it was, so they will lose Stark, and Doma's going to be a little bit lucky to get out alive. Again, I feel like this is an opportunity for Fellowship to try and break through this choke point. It doesn't look like they can be able to do that. Ratsley again, some good damage. Raymond now going down to Miss Epic, a nice little flank from PC, and yeah, there we go. That's Tiger Thalash taken down as well. This is going to be absolutely crushing little second. It's only really Captain behind on Sewer. He's not going to do anything. This is an opportunity for them to all just walk straight through all the way to last and start playing this point.
I don't think admins will be too happy with this, because judging by chat, there was a little bit of pause building involved in this exchange. So I don't know how that will play out in the end. It's only 1 round, so if it doesn't affect the end scoreline of this game, it might just be a minor warning, I would imagine.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a little bit difficult. Obviously, my HUD broke at the second the pause went, but I did think it was a little bit peculiar as well how they did manage to have that Uber. Kind of forgot that bug was still in the game, I'll be honest with you. 2018, guys.
It already forced Tiger to type and be slow to rollout, so that's the start.
That's how you know, but we do have our 6th mid of the game. Might be a chance for Fellowship to get into this through ill-gotten means or not, but again, a lot of position being taken by Se7en, a lot of damage coming out. The red demo man going down here, these extended fights, they're not really going to work. As a result, Uber's jumping super high, getting a lot of damage, but he's crushed towards the point. Mr. Epic now eating some crispy directs from Captain. Island Crafty going to try and get out alive, but these rockets, Captain's just on a mad one. He's killing them all today.
Se7en just keeps on reading these situations perfectly. They know exactly But now that the aggressiveness has worked a little bit better here, they just step down their own pace a little bit, wait for the last stuff to happen, and just let them come their way to crush them on the second half, and it works perfectly.
Maybe this is what Se7en needed, just to get that extra little bit of incentive to close out the game. You know, fire him up, get him. You got to get Tiger nice and passionate. That's how he plays his best. So, again, huge advantage for the Se7en side. Walking towards lobby 3 or 4, they can pick whatever side they want and just take some of this position, take some of this refight. Through 3 we are. Kraft is gonna absolutely just feed his life here on the left-hand side. So he's decided he doesn't want to live in this world any longer. Left side completely open for Se7en. Now they start moving towards the right. A lot of position, a lot of cap plan already being played. These scrappy fights towards point all going the way of Se7en. 5th round.
Yeah, these last pushes for Se7en are just a perfect example of process being like the one last point in the game where getting a single pick on the Uber and or maybe the sentry is just easily enough to still run around if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it really does feel like from Se7en's point of view, as long as they can take that position on the left or the right-hand side, depending on whether they Uber 3 or 4, it's kind of like the repush is just guaranteed. It doesn't look like Fellowship can really contest those later parts, be it with a heavy or sniper or just whatever, but now Fellowship, they're not even really turning up to mid, they're just standing towards choke, doing absolutely nothing at all. It seems like they just decided this is done for their time in this week 1 game. Still, Soldiers trying to get something done, some nice little rockets. Illan seems to be the only real guy on his team who's managed to get anything done on this mid, but unfortunately one man can't complete the whole game by himself, so...
Yeah, that was a prime example of just because you have a good sniper doesn't make your team a good team playing around the sniper, and they just got completely crushed in choke.
Captain as well, a little bit over eager. Stark as well. Okay, nice little headshot from Mr. Epic. Okay, we're kind of we're proven why Mr. Epic's so dominant of a sniper when he gets his chance with that sniper rifle. So now 6v4. Raymond does still have his Uber. He's playing towards a choke point. It will have to be a trade just about saving Domo there. Both teams flashed very, very similar, but now actually flashed off Domo at the worst possible time. So now Se7en losing their demo man. They're gonna have to walk all the way back to their choke. That constant threat of Mr. Epic's gonna be playing on their minds. So they will be giving up this midpoint. And really, again, like there's no reason why Fellowship can't look to be moving towards this second as well.
Yeah, they deal with this soldiers trying to hide and jump in high as well. Flash still wants to clean up one onto Gillen. Able to connect with his team, might be just getting out, gets juggled just too much. Flash actually gets away with that kill. Takes another fight with Ubers here, gets the pack. Doesn't really want to commit to that fighter, and the Fellowship still so scared despite nothing being on
my
the second
lord.
point here.
That was literally the epitome of like scout class, what you just saw here. Tiger just running at soldiers. Scout class in 2018. So Isla, a little bit Uber advantage, but player disadvantage. Just Se7en want to start moving through this choke point. They don't have to. It's not really the Se7en playstyle. There's no
Soldiers
real
start moving
necessity.
aggressively, and Stark comes in with a jump, gets lots of damage onto Isla. Captain waiting the sewer. It doesn't matter. Stark just does it all by himself.
It's like, it just feels like every single hold the Fellowship has on the game is so precarious. It seems like the tiniest little bit of pressure Se7en gives, and it just kind of falls apart.
Yeah, and now Se7en in the prime position to push here, probably just wasting a little bit of time for Stark to be up any moment here. Ubers and Gillen are trying to take a fight with the flank, but Se7en just really slow to actually commit to anything here, gets done dealing with both these soldiers. Felash gets a little bit baited by Red Slayer, but that's just a minor loss. 2-for-1 trade on Uber, perfectly worth it, as long as Mr. Epic isn't able to get a shot up here, but doesn't look like he's actually aiming at anything.
Yeah, it's one of these situations where it's all on Mr. Epic. Either he hits his headshot, he takes down Raymond, or possibly Domo would be enough at least to just slow them down, or he's effectively a bit of a wasted class. I mean, even if Mr. Epic headshots like Captain or Stark here, like it's not really going to make any difference to how the game's going. It's not going to make any difference to this push. They will be moving towards upper IT. They do, in the end, they will have to use this Uber, and they're not going to be getting a great deal for it, apart from when they jump deep in on last. This is going to be super, super scrappy, but I don't think they will be able to pick up these last couple little bits of damage. Tiger's still in, firing everything he wants. He's being such a distraction. He's taking basically no damage here. The rest of Se7en have walked in, they've taken their position, they're backing up with him, and then I feel like this is going to be the last round.
That would be
6-1
by every other team what Tiger just did, but Se7en know exactly they just can't come in with that again. They have the player, they have 2 down on the other side, let's just take this, and subsequently really quickly did. So yeah, 1 round a little bit cheesed away, I would say, on Fellowship's end here, but in the end still ended by a score difference.
Pretty dominant from the side of Se7en there, kind of I would say what you'd expect from a lot of things, but it's a slightly different Se7en roster, and I was kind of hoping you'd be seeing a little bit more from Fellowship. Like, it wasn't really that we saw nothing good at all. Some of these kind of busting through choke points, some of these kind of, moving towards different points were good, but it's like when you lose almost every mid-fight that dominating, and you're kind of giving up these lasts as well, it just feels like almost every round Se7en got was like one of those easy rounds. Like, it wasn't a hard fought for round. It was one of those win mid, win last, that's it, round of the board.
Yeah, it was a really strange game at times. Se7en just had like all the control, like besides like 2 points where the headshot happened, and with the weird Uber situation, they just had the control of the game every single moment, I would say. And the one Uber exchange and that once again is just a consequence of, I feel like, complacency with the game. They just felt too confident, didn't check for the sniper too much, and just got carried away and didn't even bother moving back to avoid an exchange on -2. So just a little bit of laziness on Se7en, but it was by no means enough to actually have the Fellowship get any real chances here.
Nope, so we do have some logs. We can have a little look at those, see what the numbers were telling us. I mean, in a very one-sided game, you never want to put too much emphasis on the numbers themselves, but obviously, I feel like Tiger had a game. I feel like Process is one of those maps everyone knows. Like, the mid, especially, is really, really good for Scout. Like, the whole map's good, but like, it's such a dominating Scout mid, and you saw, like, it only makes sense for Tiger to be putting out stats like that when it just seemed that the second you got any of the Se7en scouts on the high ground on mid, it just felt like the mid was over. It just felt like that was basically it. They're never going to be pressured off that high ground.
Yeah, even that was how it went in like the first 2 to 3 rounds, and then in the second half, it was basically just the Fellowship trying to quit in first, and Fanash and Tiger just had to stand back and do the usual stuff of just swatting down flies midair. And just protecting down medic while Fellowship does all the work for them, basically.
Pretty much. I mean, the soldiers on Fellowship definitely had a pretty rough time. I mean, I feel like it wasn't quite as bad as those stats would suggest. Obviously, in these last points, you've kind of got to jump in. You've got to try and like block the point as much as possible. So you usually kind of have some free deaths from like the soldiers. I feel like Illan and Ubers, they could achieve a decent amount on the mid fights and in the scrappy fights, but it just seemed more of it came down to timing or positioning with the rest of the team, where they could make some space, they could deal some damage, but either the rest of the team wouldn't be positioned close enough to really deal them, or they would seem to move a little bit. They would kind of jump and they would initiate just like about 2 or 3 seconds before the rest of their team was ready. So they would kind of just really throw their lives away before Mr. Epic and Rats, they were really, like able to kind of move forward with them.
Yeah, I would say so as well. It just made the difference between like team play here really apparent between these two teams. It shouldn't be too surprising. I mean, the Fellowship, in some way or another, in some form of the team, have quite a bit of experience together, but with the difference to Se7en, it's huge in comparison.
Yeah, obviously this is a roster for Se7en that we haven't seen for a while. This exact one, but these players, they've played together for like it's true, but like they've played with each other for literally years. I mean, you could really get any combination of these players on any classes at all, and they would still be a fairly dominating force within European TF2 just because they've played together for so long. These Fellowship players, they've played quite a while with each other, but it seems it's way less comfortable, that kind of team synergy. It's way less defined, maybe due to having not quite as kind of a clearer focus as a team. I feel like Se7en's always had like a clear focus of how they want to play, whereas maybe Fellowship, they're not quite as clear in their game plan. But I don't know, Process is Process. Se7en have some of the best scouts in the game, period, and Process is an incredibly scout-centric map. I feel like Granary, I mean, of all the maps to have, Process versus Granary, you've got the biggest scout map and then the biggest soldier map in the game. I think this is going to be Illan and Ubers' time to shine. Obviously, we know Ubers is like an absolute DM beast. We've seen him on Low Panda. He can like straight up dominate with the right team. We've seen Mr. Epic as well, absolutely frank when he's given that kind of position. So as long as Fellowship have a different kind of approach to these mids, I feel like there's way more they could do on this map.
Yeah, what I'm looking forward to is potentially seeing some lamp strats. They have become a little bit more popular. As soon as, namely Drag, I don't want to say inventor of the strat, but definitely the pioneer of the strat, to put it lightly, are doing it quite a bit. I'm curious to see if one of these teams has adopted that strategy.
So we will be here starting on Granera's second map of this Week 1 Season 31 of ETF2L, powered by S31.tf and Copenhagen Games. Here we have both demos moving towards top. A little bit earlier damage on Doma, but he actually will be a little bit weaker going on here, so he can't move across point quite so much. The rest of Fellowship playing towards the top and really, really deep bombs from both Ubers and Ilin. They're getting so much damage. Raymond's not quite dying though. Mr. Epic and Ubers will be the first 2 frags of the mid. Ratslayer is going to get caught out on the side, and Isla as well. Oh, I mean, I thought it was such a good start, but it just seemed like they couldn't quite get Raymond with that double soldier bomb, so I don't know. Almost kind of wasted it.
Up high, distracted everybody, did die for his effort, but in the meantime, all of Se7en just collectively walked forward, while Captain just from their own balcony or catwalk just spammed them down, and they're already on last point, not even Captain on second, but they're already here. Nobody's really moving out of spawn in time, and this is one of the fastest rounds I've seen in a while here. That was just over a minute.
That was, yeah, I mean, this could potentially be the shortest official to have ever been played if they're going to continue at this rate, but let's not think about that, right? So that was another one of these.
That's what they meant when they started chanting TCM back in the day, I think.
I don't think so. A little bit different. So okay, second mid. We're just gonna pretend that entire first thing didn't happen, because from the side of the Fellowship, you can't let that get in your head. You know, these rounds kind of happen, whatever. So this time, Ratsair is gonna be playing towards the floor, taking a little bit less damage. He will get shoved further towards this corner. Uber's dying earlier. So difficult now. Ilan's basically jumping by himself. His bomb basically does nothing at this point. And again, Isla, Ratslayer, Mr. Epic, they've all just got to back all the way, but Thalos is there on the hunt, along with Domo and their friend Tiger. Another crushing mid.
Yeah, in the moment it looks like Fellowship have like a little bit caught onto what Se7en is doing with, in this example, Mr. Epic, finding Captain much earlier on catwalk. They just adapt immediately. Stark just used the opportunity to jump something else in the meantime, and it just still all goes the same way. This time, maybe not as crushing early on, but the chase was just too strong. They had no presence on the left side whatsoever, and the wraparound into choke just completely crushed them in the end.
Yeah, the soldier bombs are so important.
At least this time they spawned though, so that's a plus on last year.
Exactly, it won't all just be for nothing. Ubers does look like he's going to be forcing off Raymond eventually, yep, so they deal with this gun. Stark does go down though, so more difficult for Se7en here. Definitely chance for Fellowship to be able to refight to see if they can get out of spawn, which they can, and they're taking good heights. Se7en look really scared here, playing all towards this corner. They can't play here indefinitely, no. And they get punished for it. Ilan with these rockets, dealing so much spam damage on these players, and now Captain getting picked up there right at the end, so Raymond, Domo, Stark, they're going to be moving all the way outside of second. About 30% Uber advantage for Isla here, so does look like as long as they can get out, presumably towards Z, to deal with these stickies. Yeah, I mean, I actually thought for a second that Stark was going to pick up Isla. No, okay. I was going to say, a really telegraph bomber. Macy got anything at all, but okay, they lost their demo, still got a Uber advantage.
Forward spawn as well on top of that. They try to just cheese out another med kill here. Let's see if the Fellowship will catch onto that. They come in from choke, sticks are there to delay. They just pop the Uber to play it safe, so a little bit discoordinated by Se7en trying to just force them while trying to get the drop in, but it got the force, so it could be worse. Tiger too late to get out of this one. Means they are one down for the fight here, so Tiger is a bit ahead of the team. So is Captain, just get jumped completely. The Se7en tries to take the fight, but now on worse numbers, they get forced themselves. Grab the Ubers, potentially Yilin will go down for the effort here, but at least they accomplished their mission, or so you would think, but at the same time, Se7en can just keep going here right now. They have the numbers for it. Fellowship just down, they just forced them so quickly. Se7en not wasting any time to get back into it now.
No, I mean, it almost seemed like a really good force, but then when you lose a second and a third player for it, it's kind of like, was it really worth it? 3 guys for that 1 Uber, and now, like you said, Se7en's going to be taking this point, and really, Uber disadvantage is effectively negligible. Tiger's actually just fighting on the back lines, trying to win this 1v1 with Crafty. Thankfully, the rest of his team turns up to make it a little bit of a more uneven fight here. So, Fellowship technically got this little bit of Uber advantage. They can walk towards Z. It does look like Se7en's not quite sure of their read on these Ubers, so they will be letting Fellowship walk all the way out towards this left-hand side yard. What a scrappy fighting going on everywhere. Ilan does trade for Starky. These Ubers are going to get traded as well. Nice little air pipe from Domo and Ratslayer. And this Fellowship Uber doesn't look to be doing anything much at all. This does look like a classic kind of Se7en. Ubers are out of the way and then start trying to go for some kind of refight here. It does look like as long as they can chase down at least one of these players, second might just be a little bit wide open. You can see the positioning on Fellowship, they're so scared.
Yeah, and they have to be. Se7en is just moving in as a unit here. Maybe Tiger, once again, just a little bit on his own, but it doesn't matter too much. In the end, they still got Ubers on the flank, and speaking of flank, they controlled that so well the entire time here, as Captain jumps into last, desperately trying to get an ad in the Uber situation, but won't happen quite yet, so it will waste some more time. Crafty making some move of his own, but Stark with just a little bit of presence up top denies it, and what I was talking about, back before, just shortly before the Uber exchange and viewing it, Se7en controlled the flank in front of Garage so well. Nobody, like, they wanted to just move over through Garage, I think, but Se7en denied it so hard with 3 people coming in not to stop them, and it worked really, really well, and the Fellowship didn't go anywhere with any of that.
I mean, even with all of that happening, it's not absolutely disastrous for Fellowship. It will still be a little bit of an equal Uber situation. Crafty sniping towards his right-hand side, so there's some kind of opportunity. It's not going to be a 5-minute game, which is obviously a much more interesting way of doing things than how we saw a little bit earlier. But it makes you think, how is Fellowship going to be able to break this stalemate? Yeah, they're only 1 round down, but it is still kind of balls in their court in terms of trying to get something done. This positioning by the majority of the 7 players, this right-hand side, it's so difficult to get anything in, rather like that from maybe like a spy or an incredibly lucky soldier bomb, but
they just double commit here, Se7en, and being the ones to actually initiate here. Instead, Tiger gets 1, Stark just falls through the sticky trap. Uber's having a conch up himself, which is interesting. I'm really curious to see if they can find any use of that. Has to find the damage first, so I think it's 480 damage he needs to find. Which sounds easy on paper, definitely easier than the other banners, but nobody's giving him a good opportunity to get some shots in the first place.
So again, continuing peeking and prodding. Okay, Tiger's getting taken down now. That's going to be the first step of Fellowship actually trying to get something done. What do they need now? They're going to be taking some position towards top. Surely, if you're Fellowship, there's no way you can really go for some kind of sack. You can take a lot of position towards point. Ilan's going to get headshot. Uber's going to take it down right at the end of that. Okay, back on last we are for Fellowship. Seems like they're just not really able to take the positioning or get whatever sack they want. No!
It's the medic! They just walk in completely for free, have no denial whatsoever. Stark on spy, doesn't matter, they just can pop in here and destroy the last few players while playing the point. Se7en just gets that so quickly the moment the opportunity came up. And they played completely in their element there. Have the enemy make the mistake. You could tell how much they just wanted to die on these like mild attempts to force Isla earlier with like the double commit as well. They didn't care if they lost players there, they just wanted to have them mess up on second. And the moment the soldiers got careless walking in, these 2 frags just meant so much all of a sudden.
I mean, I'm being completely thrown off by a lot of this timing. It seems like Fellowship aren't really able to even hold close when things go wrong, but here we are, 3rd mid, a lot more position towards point for the Fellowship. Big bombs in from the 7 soldiers, a lot of height again, so there's got to be some kind of reinitiation from the Fellowship side. Thankfully, they've already got a player and they've not managed to lose anything too much other than Mr. Epic now, but these Fellowship players being caught completely towards Garage, they just don't really take any position again. It's all on Ilan to try and get something done, but no, forced back towards Garage again. There's no reason why they necessarily have to give up this choke point. I mean, if Ratsley was kind of, feeling his damage, he could be able to move a little bit further forward, but instead it does look like they want to be playing towards the point. Ubers will be up, so worst case scenario, this will be a trade here for Fellowship side. As long as the Ratsley is conserving his ammunition, there's no definite reason why he has to make this easy for Se7en, and actually Se7en are playing really, really bunched up, so this might be just the opportunity Fellowship need just to make this a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, but so far they're just also settling with the stalemate here, and once again they are forced to make some moves here, be the ones being creative, because Se7en has no reason to do anything here, and traditionally they are just not the ones to do it either way, if there's no proper reason for them to do it and they're not really forced, scared by the other team to make some moves here. So far they're just rotating over and find success immediately, pick up Ubers, pick up Crafty, taking bad fights on the flank as the combo just rotates in, and suddenly the whole situation in Se7en's favor as Captain makes a mild attempt to force, does find it by proxy, kills the combo player, gets the force out with that, while I already dropped too many to be able to not afford to use here.
Yeah, it's absolutely disastrous use there. I think Isla was trying to save Ilan there right at the end, but it's not going to work out. Se7en walking all the way onto last. Uber's going to get used for the sake of keeping their players alive. Ratslayer gets taken down super early along with Ubers now, so as long as Se7en can play just a little bit slower, they can start moving towards this point. They're getting so much cap time already. None of the Fellowship players is anywhere near at all. That's going to be 3-0.
Yeah, that was a really nice fight. Se7en took themselves down on Lunchbox. Just somebody gets stuck in a fight, but avoids actually trying to take the fight. Just like kind of bait the player to stay there where he is, and everybody just comes out, helps immediately, get 2 kills for completely free, and suddenly the floodgates just open.
I think, based on what we saw in previous mids, again, we said it before, I think Fellowship's early aggression is good. I think they need something like just one of your classic, all-out push early, get some early damage, get some early soldier bombs. That seems to be how they're doing things the best. There's early aggression from Captain's getting a lot of position, but again, no frags early. This frag on the Doma, that's going to be really, really good, but Isla's not really able to get out through this garage. It makes you wonder quite how Fellowship's intending on winning these mids, where it just doesn't seem like they have any way of countering this early aggression. I feel like they need to be, aggressing themselves earlier. Maybe just, walk through a right-hand side or trying to get something. They can't keep getting shut in that same spot over and over.
Yeah, Captain Stark are just able to do way too much with not what doesn't even look like great jumps coming in. Stark just jumps straight up this bit, and everybody was so busy with everything else that he still was able to hammer in like 200 damage onto the entire team.
Okay, so Uber advantage for the side of Se7en. A lot of damage being done on point, actually. They will be able to force off the Uber after killing Thalash, only trading one of their own. So as long as they don't get caught here by Tiger aggressing all the way towards point, 1v1. Mr. Epic getting the best of him, though, along with his scout duo buddy Crafty. With Captain going down here, some really, really good damage. It's only really the soldier towards point they have to worry about. As soon as they get this frag, they can keep moving towards
that was
second
dangerously
here.
closely for Isla as well, though, in the end. Stark using just a small opening really greatly. Lucky for the Fellowship to get away with that, and now it's their chance to actually make something happen here. The Force in the end still working in their favor. Pyro is up on the field, interesting choice. Question is if it will actually pay off here.
I was literally about to say, oh no, Tigers just ran straight through right side on the last. That's a cap. I mean, absolutely no idea how we even get to that state. I don't know about like the Fellowship players. I was so focused, thinking about, okay, how are they going to deal with that pyro? How are they going to deal with that spam? That completely forgot that right side exists. So a little bit of a cheap way of picking up that last there, but hey, if it works, it works. So 4 rounds down for the side of the Fellowship. I mean, if there's going to be a mid where you try and fix something, it's got to be now, right? Ratslayer again playing towards his floor position, trying to play healthy, getting that health back. Again, the rest of his team is playing towards top, and this early bomb, I mean, like, these Se7en soldiers just seem to be able to do whatever they want. Oh my god, okay, no. Ilin's making a stand. He's making a point here. What an air shot from him onto Raymond. So now, as long as they can play towards this left-hand side, Ina needs someone with him, but he's just so far apart from Crafty and Ratslayer. I mean, it's the best mid we've seen by far, but it just doesn't seem like it's enough still.
Captain and Stark just have way too much freedom. The scouts just can't keep them in check, and they just get way too much damage every single time. Captain even surviving this bit somehow in the end. As the scouts cap up, he just already takes a stand on second, gets some time there. Probably can't actually commit to it, but that doesn't matter. He pulled his worth here already on this round, and in the end, the only silver lining was Yelan just having to pull out an insane one to have this look any closer than before at all.
That being said, though, it is only a little bit uber disadvantage for the Fellowship side. They do want to actually walk out through far right-hand side. I think it's a smart player. Makes sense, especially with Stark sniping. They're going to lose Crafty, but as long as they can get at least one more pick here, it does look like they can start moving forward. Uber's taking down Tiger, but they trade another soldier for it, and now Mr. Epic's kind of caught behind. Yeah, Uber's getting picked up as well. Another repush which just doesn't quite go the way of Fellowship.
We've seen them being a little bit complacent about off classes before, so maybe Mr. Epic's able to sneak one in. He's getting so close, and there he goes. Gets 2. Gets Dark as well on top of his Domo. Flick pipes him down immediately, but the damage has been done. Suddenly this looks a whole lot better, but I don't think Se7en will just settle with this Domo. Captain Flash, all are still really close, wanting this fault out of Isla before anything else happens. So we Captain could have gotten the kill, but wanted the medic instead.
Yeah, I think as long as Fellowship's aware here, they know what Se7en is going to do. They know that Tiger and Captain, they're just trying to get in. They're just trying to make this difficult for the Fellowship side. But as long as they can take down these players one by one, They could walk all the way. Yeah, there we go. Tiger getting taken down the back lines. Now this left-hand side is completely open for Fellowship. They do have this Uber. It's only now they're starting in any position to spam them at all. As long as they can get through this choke point without having to use. Ooh, a little bit of server lag just then. Should be really, really good. Thalash running behind. Looks like he wants to try and get some kind of backup or some kind of flank play. It shouldn't matter too much as long as they can just keep focused. Keep a hold of what the objective is. Uber does get forced, but not after losing 2 players, so Remember, we'll get picked
don't
up.
even have to be scared too much of this. Rasta just completely overextends, not even really trying to get Raymond, just kind of getting out of mid. Suddenly this turned all around. He Tiger straight on the medic Crafty on the other side trying to get the same result, but it's not looking too hot. The only thing he picks up is Stark in the end. As he goes down, he then left alone on the mid front and Isla on his way out, but mostly just on his way to the spawn. Tiger picks him up, and this could easily be just a straight roll until last. Tiger taking again just a fight with everybody he sees in front of him. But he just keeps on not getting punished for it.
Tiger in particular, yeah, like you're right, he's so aggressive, but he's making it work somehow. It feels like just a little bit kind of a closer play from the Fellowship side. Does seem like they're able to deal with him more, but Se7en's walking in this left hand side, taking down Captain. That's gonna be so important for the Fellowship side. Crafty will trade for it, but they have some good position, a lot of weight on Ilan's shoulders right now. He's the only real man with high ground. He will have to get dropped off, and that looks like it's going to be the 5th and final round on this game of Granary.
Yeah, really convincing start to the season for Se7en, and the Fellowship, huge hit to their team's confidence here a little bit, I would say, but it is against Se7en. I wouldn't imagine they thought they could win it, but I would have hoped it would be a little bit closer here for them.
I mean, I don't know, it's such a difficult kind of a game to play when you can practice and practice and practice. You can have so many plans of like your own mids, but if you suddenly find yourself up against some kind of mid strat where you haven't quite prepared for, or just something which like contradictory, it kind of contradicts like your entire plan for your mids. I don't know, it's super difficult to come up with something on the fly, and it just feels like that's what the game came down to. Like, slowly you saw, like, after, the 3rd or 4th mid on each map, the Fellowship were getting just, like, a little bit better, but there's just not enough time in the game to be able to deal with that. There's not enough time to be able to completely rework how you want to approach the mid, so...
Yeah, and on top of just mids and last, which, at least the last, weren't even that great from Se7en on this map necessarily. Sure, it's Granary, there can be excuses made here just by the map itself being harder to push on last. But even then, outside of those 2 areas, which were like the main areas we saw the entire evening here in this game, was the fact that they controlled the flank so well. During that one exchange, they didn't let anything through. They abused it twice to get a back going, and closer to the end, therefore the force, and subsequently not even like getting into any danger doing that, and get to during a force as well on top of that, with a flash and Captain, I think it was, going behind to get that. The flank was so abusable for Se7en.
I think we got some logs to look at just a second. Again, it's a 5-0. You don't want to dwell on the numbers too much. We did see another game where Thalash instead of Tiger this time. A lot of damage, a lot of frags, very few deaths, and it seemed to be that same kind of story. That high ground, which is even more important, I feel, on Granary than on Process. It just seemed to be that Se7en would have control, and it was always the Fellowship trying to re-aggress onto that high ground. It was never them kind of, being forced off. Obviously, the Se7en soldiers, they had some great early bombs, and it seemed like the Fellowship soldiers, like, again, Ubers and Ilan not looking fantastic there in terms of, like, the raw numbers, but it seemed like there was a good couple mids where they would get a lot done. They'd take a lot of position, but then the rest of their team wouldn't really be able to deal with the aggressive Se7en soldiers, so it would kind of all be for nothing. I mean, you can take a lot of position, you can deal some damage, but unless your team's able to follow up, it doesn't really amount to anything. And that's, to me, that's what it feels like a lot of the difference was. You would have that kind of, that aggressive bombing, some of that position taken by Ilan and Ubers, but the rest of their team would be caught towards that garage, and it would kind of be, right, well, that's the mid over, barring some kind of hero play, which we saw even from Ilan. You can have a hero play and it still won't be enough to win you that mid.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done here for sure. And for Se7en, I was a little bit worried for them coming into the season. I saw a little bit of like the early games when it was just coming together. It looked a lot more chaotic than this does, so they certainly picked up on their mistakes. And this was really clean. I'm curious to see how the other teams will stack up in comparison to the Fellowship here. If somebody is shaping up to be tremendously better. We saw a game the other day, which was Send and Swift withdrawals, quite messy, but pretty decent overall. There's another game today, I think. I don't remember who it is. I think Aura Electro and Feint, Aura traditionally a team that just keeps on practicing against Se7en over and over and over again until they eventually get some rounds on the board. So those would be some to do with. Feint obviously historically has gotten some maps off them before. So there's some potential here for Se7en to not be this dominant the entire season, but it will be incredibly difficult.
I think, once again, even with a slightly different roster, it does look like Se7en is that team that most teams are going to be looking to beat. They're the ones you want to kind of, you want to prove a point, you want to try and take them down and make something happen. But week 1 won't be the week where that happens, unfortunately, for the side of the Fellowship. But like you said, it isn't kind of all for nothing. Obviously, you play what is genuinely agreed to be the first seed on week 1. Things are never going to go particularly easily. And, there's things they can take away. They can, look at some of the mids. How are we going to deal with these mids in the future? There's no reason why they can't learn from this and going forward, make some of these improvements and look a little bit better if they go against Se7en later on in the season, possibly towards playoffs. But, it is what it is. Some quite one-sided games today. I don't think we will be having any interviews. I think most of the players are just going to vanish off into the distance to either celebrate or mourn their loss. So I think we might get to have a super, super quick end to the cast here. So, unless there's anything else you want to add, we'll do some quick shout-outs and let people get on with the rest of their nights.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to the rest of the season. Everything, it's really hard to predict who will make playoffs after this one as well. So I'm just looking forward to the rest of the games here.
Is there anyone you want to give a quick little shout-out to before we go?
Shoutouts to Spy Boys. I heard they're going mid this season.
Fair enough. I will shout out, obviously, you guys for coming and casting with me. I'm going to shout out this horrendous sickness which has caused my brain to barely function today. I am very sorry for being quite so slow. But I'm going to give a far, far bigger shout out to STN.TF and Copenhagen Games for sponsoring this ETF2L Season 31 prize pool, which I think someone was saying on TF2 is one of the biggest ones we've had in seasons and seasons. I mean, we have, as far as I'm aware, a cash prize pool as well as 6 rentals and tickets for Copenhagen Games in April of next year, which is pretty dope. Shout out to those guys, because we were saying a little bit before the cast, having those lands to look forward to, it makes each season so much more interesting. It really provides that incentive for teams to play together and, kind of stay together and do as much as they can to improve. But that's those guys. Shout out to you, and shout out to the rest of the games coming up, which, if you pay attention to the Team Fortress TV Twitter, you'll be hearing all about. Hopefully we'll get some more in the next few days. But yeah, that's a bit for me, eepily, DuMm, and degu, and we'll catch you guys next time.